Hi everyone, I'm Ihab, co-founder and the CEO of MEmob. And here I have Sara.
I'm Sara. I'm the associate director at MEmob as well.
I don't know if you've heard about MEmob before, but MEmob is a data mining and monetization company. So this subject fits our kind of talks really, really well. So let's start first with how to remain effective in the cookieless world. And this subject actually got a big buzz in the market. Like everyone heard about it, everyone started talking about it, even the digital days, ads, favorites, all of these kind of websites, they were started talking about it, and some of them went really, really wild with it. But first, before we start going and talking about what do we mean by the cookieless world, how this will affect us, how we can get into this challenge, who's going to be the best people benefiting from that one, how we can tackle into this, I will ask some questions later, and I will try to find answers from your side. I'll see how you understand what we're going to talk about, and then we take you through a kind of an example and a study that we did, and it actually worked, and then we will give you this practice. Maybe you can apply it in your business for the moving forward, right? So we've all heard about the Google pushing actually for no longer tracking on their platform, on their environment.
Say that again, Ihab?
No, not really that one. It's about a different thing. Google not tracking audiences outside on the different environments of delivering advertisements.
What?
That way. They don't want actually to start targeting you with personalized ads on the web.
That's still not right, Ihab.
Okay, so technically, no one is understanding what do they mean by the cookieless world, or how they would actually go into this challenge with the moving forward. Although they are actually going for different solutions from their end for the battling with this little sweet cookie that we've been used to, right? And to explain what a cookie, it's the small little pixel, the sweet one, that sits on your browser and tries to read what you are reading on the webs, trying to make your life easier when you get to each and every website, filling your name, last name, maybe sometimes the credit card information to make your process faster. That little cookie, Google decided to kill it. Google decided to eliminate it for so many reasons. We're going to get into these reasons soon. But before, let's take a moment of silence for this little sweet cookie to just give it its what do we call it?
Funeral?
Moment? Funeral? Okay. We haven't got funeral. Yeah.
Enough with the funeral.
Enough with the funeral. So let's get with the business. Once Google started with this and they launched this kind of news and new news in the market, marketeers and gurus in advertising, they started panicking. They was like, okay, what are we going to do now? What's going to happen with our cookies? We've been in this and we've been using the cookies for so long, right? But Google then came out with these solutions. They're talking about something called Flock. They went out to something called the Turtle Dove. And they came out with a new thing called the Sandbox. You know, the black box that when you airplane crashes in? Similar to a sandbox. You technically have the same term. Nothing happens inside. No one knows about it except the ones who actually developed it. It has specific people that they can unzip the code, and that's what exactly happens. Gurus and advertisements started creating memes about it, and this is one of the memes there. Do anyone understand this meme? What does it say? Do you have an idea? Not really, right? Do you know what the meaning of W3C, rep? Okay, it's a small community of people and professionals that they put rules for the searching the web. That's simple, right? And in this meme here, you look at they leashed these W3C community by impact in terms of like money, in terms of like power. They enforced this kind of technology there. You see Tim, he's one of the CEOs of the W3C, leaving that to Google. And you see the sheep, which is most probably us, pubs, advertisers, DSPs, forced to work with Google under the same kind of a sandbox where they're coming in. And open web, it's not an open web anymore. No one is going to go to the open web. It's going to stay within Google only. So that's the kind of a cookieless world problem that's being created now, and that's why the gurus in advertisement started looking into different solutions that we're going to present now, right? But definitely this is not the end of the world. And definitely this is not the end of the advertisement or even for the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. We went a little bit, the designer actually went really, really hard on this one here. Like really hard on this one, but that's how people felt when they first heard about the cookieless world, literally. So this has been there since like 2017, when iOS started first with the ITP 1.0, when we all heard about Safari not allowing anyone to track third-party cookies in iOS. It's the same thing and kept dragging with the Firefox, with the Safari in 2019, and then it ended now in 14th of June, when Chrome came and said, 2022, we're not going to allow anyone to track or to put a third-party cookie on our browser. We're going to control it. It's exactly the same, and that's why we are ready for it. And that's why we found solutions for that. You want to
Now, yeah. So before we get into what's first and third-party cookies, let's see why you believe you need cookies. Is it for A, collecting audience data, B, for their retargeting capabilities, C, for attribution, D, all the previous options, and finally E, I don't need cookies? Let's see by raise of hands. Who believes it's for A? No one. Okay. What about B? Great. We have 4 hands. What about C, attribution? Okay, no one's in e-commerce. Great. Okay, what about D? All of the above. Okay, we have the majorities with D. Who believes they don't need a cookie?
Me.
Okay, well, to be honest, you're all right, okay? And now let's explain the difference between first and third-party cookies. Wow, this looks yummy. Okay. So let's imagine that each brand has an in-house oven where cookies are baked with tender love and care. When a guest arrives to the brand's home, they greet it with a home-baked cookie. This is your first-party cookie. Now imagine that the same brand could also greet guests with cookies baked by their friends and neighbors. These are the third-party cookies. As third-party cookies are not baked in your own kitchen, Google has decided that they are not healthy for your guests, as they have a lot of bad side effects. And so we're going to get into
everyone, when someone comes to our house, we give them cookies, we give them cakes, right? So that's exactly the same thing that happens on the web. Hey, let's have this cookie for you. You know, we're going to track you wherever you go. And we're going to make your experience better in our website. It's exactly the same. Make them happy when they reach your website with your first-party cookie.
So cookies were always imperfect and missing parts of the puzzle. The first side effect is that cookies cannot follow users across devices. So then you have a chopped off journey. The journey is not complete because it gets disconnected once you get into the mobile world. Secondly, more than 60% of tracking cookies are deleted by browsers. So where's the effectiveness there? And lastly, cookies are poorly matched across DMPs and DSPs. Therefore, your user profiles are never really complete. This is besides the fact that they have always been more probabilistic than deterministic. Despite the limitations, cookies are everywhere in the digital ecosystem. Their removal will be, Their removal will be felt, and we will need to brace for impact. But just like we have braced before over many years, like this first man who tried to fly, we have overcome change, and we will again because a solution is already in place. Okay, now, before we get to it, let's have an exercise, okay? Okay, so what are the various uses of cookies? Okay, so cookie usage and marketing effectiveness falls under 3 broader marketing concepts. That's media, brand, and sales effectiveness. Now, you will see marketing terms popping up at the top of the screen, okay? And I want you to help me place them in the correct column. Let's go. Ad recall. I see your finger pointing, but I'm not sure where you're pointing at.
Brand.
And you're right.
Oh, perfect. I like.
Okay, now, Audience insights and analysis.
Where?
Same, you're wrong. Okay, I have a
Media
correct answer there at
Wow. Impressive.
the end. Okay, now brand equity. Yep, you got it.
Oh, wow. Did anyone hand you the presentation before?
Common sense.
Common
So
sense,
you're
yeah?
guessing this one too.
Brand
Okay.
lift.
Again, in brand
Come on, guys.
effectiveness.
So no one knows? Really?
Guys, you
Wow.
can guess it.
Guess it. Just throw it. Just throw it in. Try your luck. We have gifts after this session.
Not cookies.
Not cookies.
Campaign delivery, reach, and frequency.
Which one?
Media.
Media. Is it media?
It's
Oh, wow.
media. It's
Okay.
media.
Oh, I didn't know.
What about
Okay, this I can't spell
Economic
myself,
math.
but let's give it a try.
yes? How do you know all this?
Because it's the only one
Ms. Shanaz?
empty, maybe? I don't know. Okay, that's very good.
Okay. What about multi-touch attribution? Sales for all
Sales.
these lead generation campaigns you've been throwing at us. Okay. And targeting, retargeting. Who said media? You're right.
Some.
And finally, viewability,
Brand,
brand
safety,
safety,
and fraud.
and fraud. Media.
Media.
Okay. So the terms highlighted in green are the ones that are not affected by the removal of the cookie. The ones in orange are moderately affected, and the ones in red are greatly affected. And now Ihab's going to take us through the impact on each.
How you like my unidentified flocking cookie, right? So that's similar to the UFOs that we've seen flying in Earth before. It's exactly going to be the same story with our little cookies that they are going to be sitting on our websites, right? We're going to explain it later, but I called it the unidentified flocking cookie because of the flock service that Google will give us to use later on for the cookieless world, right? I'm going to explain as well how it's going to work. So for our little UFC, which is the unidentified cookie, which is going to be similar to an alien sitting on our website, not understanding what they are doing outside our website itself. Imagine you are a publication coming on the website itself. You're going to be only trying to track the users based on what content they are consuming on your web. Do you understand anything happening outside that one? No. I'll explain later why, right? Because with an example, because a third-party cookie, when it comes to your website and you are working with someone at the third-party cookie to give you more information about where that person was actually before they land on your website, then when you start understanding where they were before, what they were doing, because my publication might be on a cycling website, but then I've seen that person or an audience was on a fashion website before, so that I can understand and categorize them as a fashion and a cycler at the same time, right? So here when we're talking about the media, there is no learnings, there is no enrichment for the cookies unless we work with digital partners, with data partners to enrich that one for us, with the disappearance of the third-party cookie, and then there is no lookalike audience creation outside the Google's products as well. You know the lookalike creation, right? Lookalike creation is to create a person similar to you, but with a different face. Same characteristics, but a different face, because they might be the ones to convert later on in a sales, let's say, an engagement, all of that kind of a media perception or like perspective of it. Well, we're talking about media targeting and retargeting, right? Similar to this, what do you call this one?
Boomerang.
The boomerang what?
Boomerang.
Boomerang. I've never played
We're
with
not
that one, really.
Australian,
I
yeah.
was so bad with that one. So when we're talking about the targeting and the retargeting, the first-party cookie that Google will give us on the website, it will be retargeted. We can remarket to that one on the Google platform only, which is perfect for some clients. But then when you want to remarket outside on different DSPs, that different DSP won't be able to read that first-party cookie of yours, so they cannot identify it, so you cannot remarket that. If you want to go for the frequency capping outside the DV360 as well, which is a product of Google, or you want to go outside the Google AdWords, again, you will not be able to manage the frequency, because the frequency, as you know, is remarketing to the same person multiple times, right? So if you don't have a connected ID to that specific person, you will not be able to know what was your frequency across different channels. And that's really impactful for our budgets, for our conversions as well at the same time. Plus, the DCO, dynamic creative optimizations, if that third-party cookie on a different DSP won't understand that audience that I pushed there from their side, they will not be able to dynamically change the creative to give them, for example, a female with kids as an ad, or like it's a male and a solo with a different ad, right? So that will be impacted really hard. Going into social as well, no connected ID on the in-app environment will not even help us. We cannot connect it to Facebook because we cannot be able to understand that audience on Facebook as a cookie base. So we are losing all of that, and that's the main kind of a battle that we're gonna get into. Similarly here, the frequency capping, the unique audience reach, because we're not gonna be reaching more of the uniques there. So that's gonna be a problem for us as well, because this will limit us to reaching to other people outside that platform, that channel. Because not all of us will be on Google all the time. We might be in different channels. So why to limit us and to limit ourselves on one channel only? That's not really effective. When we're talking about the multi-touch attribution, it's very simple. For us today, as clients, as advertisers, we are looking at the multi-touch attribution because we want to know where our people staying and spending most of their time, regardless of the last click attribution. And last click attribution is when you see an ad, you click on it, you go to the end of the funnel, and then you execute a sale or execute an action for us to make money, right? For the ROI. So today, if I'm gonna be looking into this, when I go to a DV360 kind of an approach, and I have a last click from DV360, I'm not gonna be able to tell if my audience saw the ad at first on Facebook, and then they decided to do the sales that night, but they went into the Google search, and then they found it on Google search, and then they went and they did the sales. So we are not being fair with all of the different points, touch points that we're making the audience pass through within the journey of the 360 approach of digital media, and we're going only for the last click attribution, which is not right at all. Because again, people don't stay and don't spend their time only on the one channel, like be it Facebook or Instagram or even Google itself. So that's what's going to affect in terms of multi-touch attribution, because a third-party cookie, gives it a signal that this person or this audience was on Facebook before, he saw that ad, he went into the DV360, he saw the ad, he completed the channel, and then he did the sale. So we can tell later on planning perspective that, hey, we can go on Facebook because it's effective, and then we can go on Google, and then we can go on Snapchat, for example, right? And all of this will get to the main and the real problem. Our budgets in terms of marketing, and when COVID hit, became really small. So even from our side as a data supply, we really started seeing marketing budgets shrinking because clients were so not knowing what to do, and advertisers are so conservative about their money, and they wanted to go small. And then here, with this kind of an example, if we're gonna go into a cookieless world, and I will not be able to connect one person to different platforms, I might be targeting Ihab, I might be targeting Sara, I might be targeting Raya, I might be targeting Hussam 10 times with a frequency cap of 10 times on each and every platform separately. So I'm spending $1,000 on Hussam here, $1,000 on Hussam on DV60, and then $1,000 on TikTok. But then Hussam converted one time only on TikTok, and then he will never convert again. But although I'm still spending money on him because I want him to convert without me knowing that he converted or not, right? So that will definitely drop my ROI and increase my budget in terms of marketing, which is not the right thing to do. So talking about DV360 and talking about the solutions from Google that I mentioned earlier, we were talking about two things, and two things in specific: the flock and the sandbox. You've researched a little bit maybe, and do you understand the flock? What does the flock mean? Give it a try. What? Yeah, that's the main concept about it. But flock, we thought about what, federal law of children? No.
No.
It's federated law of cohorts, right? Even myself.
Federated learning of cohorts.
Oh, learning of cohorts.
Yeah. It's confusing. Even
right?
They don't understand it.
So I will try my best to explain. You're forced to hear me until the end, but I will try my best. The thing is, for the flock, they did something we can say it's cool. They remove the cookies, right? And they label you. But they remove the cookie to identify you. So now you are labeled based on what do you do online, and then you are taken and put in a group. The only common factor with you and this group is that you, for example, bought a bike, so now you are a biker, and then you go in a segment of bikers. But who are you in specific, or what do you do, what kind of different things that you do? We don't know. So the only thing that combines you there is just one factor of so many touch points that we can learn on you. It's not available anymore. Only Google that can understand you as a label, and I don't know how this will affect you, or like how this will put you in privacy outside the Google platform as well, right? Because you've been labeled. So tell me.
How are we categorized? Based on affinity, interest, on our behavior?
Based on behavior online. So if, as I said, if you buy a bike, or if you like, for example, on a biking kind of a website, or you like on a swimming kind of products, you will be put in a swimming kind of a category, as a cohort, as a group. So that's what they call as a flock. Definitely it will change. Of course it will change, but that's how they are going to sell it to advertisers. Hey, you want to advertise? No problem. There's no cookies anymore. We have labels on people. We label them. You can target this kind of a specific audience, and then that's how it's going to work. And this very simple example, like if I'm going to now... Sorry?
How do they label people without a cookie or a tracker?
They will definitely do something within the Google environment, and that's why they came up with the flock, that can actually label you that you were there, and they give you a static ID.
Because Google can still track you.
They can still track you.
Regardless of cookies. Cookies are for advertisers, but them, they still track you.
They can still label you as a person. For me, I know that you're Hassam. I can put a sticker on you. I know that I stick to you with red. Red means that you're Hassam from OMG, for example. Perfect. But no one knows that the sticker, that sticker is OMG. That's how Google will do it for sure. Sorry?
You can be in different pools.
Exactly. You can be in different.
Yeah.
True.
Do you need to give them consent, or does it?
Definitely. But the consent there is to accept the cookies of the website itself. Because now when you enter the Chrome, you will definitely accept everything that they give you, else you're not going to be able to use Chrome.
Because the first-party cookie is still there. People are still accepting that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how this works with the legal framework in Europe.
Exactly. So still there's a big confusion there. Yeah, there's a lot of memes talking about all of this, and we're back. They're pushing us back as an advertising industry to go back to where we were in 1994, where we used to target people based on interest and behavior and age and gender without even going into details of data, right? So if I was connected to the same IP in the office, and I have Sara checking for example, Sephora kind of a store, I'll be labeled as one from the IP address of Sephora, so I receive a mascara, right? We've seen this a lot on YouTube, for example. It's not me, man. Alex, he has kids there. I receive ads for diapers. It's not me. I'm not the one for always, for example. It's the same thing. If someone uses my phone, my IP address, and you're going to put me in a cohort that says he's a female, I'm not the female. Sorry, right? Right? It's not. So that's the thing about the flock. When we go to the sandbox, what do we mean by sandbox? It's the same thing. Sandbox is basically me as a publisher and advertiser have my information of my audience on my website, but I don't know anything about them anymore. If they leave my website, I have zero information. But they allow me to utilize that data on my website as first party. But let's be fair. This kind of information, this kind of thing that they did for the sandbox is okay. You're not going to be tracked with any kind of third-party vendor outside the Google, right? Fine. You're securing my data. I'm saving my data on my browser. Fantastic. What I will do with that? Nothing. There's no rewards for who's going to save his first-party data more than the other one, right? No one really cares. So that's the kind of a sandbox. You cannot understand what's going to happen outside your website as an advertiser, as the owner of a first party from your side, and that's the main thing that's the main issue. If you want to give me my freedom to choose a third party that I trust to save my data under GDPR compliance and CCPA, why not? But you're enforcing laws, similar to what we said with the W3C, and they made it work. That's how they did it. But again, that's what they wanted us to go to. We cannot say anything else. Chrome has been used, and we know it's been used. We cannot hide behind that one, and we're going to still use it. But then there's a problem solver. Sara, she's the problem solver.
I'm the solver of the problem. So the solution is here, and it has always been right here in front of our eyes. So you and me, we meet new people every day. First, we get their name, maybe even a number, and then we start connecting through various accounts. Like, for example, on LinkedIn, on social media, so on and so forth. The same is applicable, sorry, this clicker is not, okay. So the same is applicable for brands. They need to start building first-party data, one customer after another, save them in the little black books, otherwise known as CDPs and DMPs. As individuals, we start growing our network and connecting with the same people across different platforms. Some for fun, others for business, but all within one contact book. Businesses need to grow their first-party data in a similar way and match it with multiple data sources in order to complete each user profile and have their audiences accessible to them. You have 4 different identifiers. So you have the MAIDs, and that stands for mobile advertising IDs. You have the first-party cookie. You have the emails. You have the phone numbers. So MAIDs and emails and numbers can be matched on DSPs and social media. Emails can be used for EDMs, phone numbers for SMS, and now you have the power to reach your audience across the true omnichannel.
To recap on that one, and again, to put it just in a very quick way. Today, when you meet someone, you want to know about them. What's the first thing you do?
Google them. Oh.
You don't meet people? Antisocial now? Huh? Yeah. What's your name, right? You put the name, you become friends after a couple of minutes, and then share with me your number, right? And then I will text you on WhatsApp, correct? When you do that, it's the image on top on your contact book, which is your CDP, right? Or it's with your DMP, data management platform. That's you hold in your hand all the time. That's your data management platform, right? You put the name, WhatsApp, and then you see immediately the image pops in up, right? So you got a face to that name already. So that's a connected ID. And then from there, if you connect it to your Instagram, you will have everything that they do there, right? If they are into sports, if they are not into sports, they are like, they go out, they don't go out, right? All of this, you started profiling them on your daily basis. That's what we have to do when we have a cookieless world. Because if you are an owner of a publication, if you are an owner of a service, if you're an owner of like a fast food, for example, website, right? People are coming in, they're ordering most of the time. How are you? So when you do this, you put it in, you put a kind of a system to connected IDs, because you have to first get their first-party data, because that's your starting point. That's your point 0, where that's your first-party data of a phone number, an email address, and from there, the sky is the limit. I'm going to take you through an example that we used with a client, showed success outside the cookie world. We use the first-party cookie at the end because it's a web-based as well. And then I will show you how we moved forward with the thinking in terms of like enriching data, using that data online, converting people, and learning more about them in a cookieless world, right? So the first one, I'm going to give you like a quick kind of an example. It's a VOD, video on demand client. They have an application, they have a website, and they had 2 objectives. One, which is definitely like every single VOD, increase subscriptions and installs, and then the second one, which is increasing time spent on the application and then, or like the website, and getting more views on that application or website, right? So I'll give you like a quick story about them. They are related to a telecommunication company. So this VOD has a telecommunication company. They did that one as a VOD service because they wanted to make definitely more money and then to collect first-party data, right? So this service is only available. I'm going to ask you questions there. Yep. And I hope that you're going to get the right answers, because that's exactly what we explained there in the previous slides. It's how we can get from a point 0 and start collecting data to converting people, right? So this client, because they're a telecommunication company and they're only offering this service to their people, their telecommunication holders, they've thought of, first of all, sending an SMS. That's the first thing they thought of. We have their phone numbers. Why we don't send them an SMS to actually get them downloading the application or opening our website and getting a registration there, right? So we push them there. But then they combined it with an offer. Pay $2.5 to upgrade for 100 gigabytes or like an extra data, but then you will have a subscription, free subscription for 1 month for free with this kind of a data bundle. So definitely from then they thought, yes, we're doing the right thing. But I think that they've actually, they were shooting on the short kind of a distance of a space, and that's what happened to our little army here with their firework. They were not that lucky, I believe. We didn't see someone, but yeah, they were not lucky. What happened is, people, some of them, they saw the text message as an SMS, they went and upgraded, and others, they did not even bother. So they didn't see a good kind of a return of investment because they've paid for that SMS, but they didn't get the results, right? So they came to us saying, hey, we have 2 objectives, and we hope that you can help us within this kind of an exercise. So we got it in 2 different objectives. First of all, our first objective is to increase the subscriptions and the installs, right? We're going to speak about that one later. So what should be the first step that we have to do to increase the subscriptions and the app installs, keeping in mind that we've sent an SMS already, and we've got people subscribing and people are not subscribing? Any idea? Tahir, any idea? Sorry? So, yes. Technically, we collected all the first-party data of non-subscribed customers, right? So every single phone number that they've sent them an SMS, we took that phone number that he didn't convert, because we know if they converted or not because they went for the upgrade, and then what we have to do? We got the numbers.
Create a new offer, something different that will teach them, make them like a referral program. If I maybe like that, like
Yeah.
you can introduce a referral program, subscribe, get your friend also, and you get like 1 month free, something like that.
Offers. What else?
Did you monitor them with their behavior and then show them relevant videos that they could potentially watch?
We have a bingo there, but yeah, in a
Nice
different
one.
way, but it's a nice one. So what we did is we got a third-party data provider that can enrich the phone numbers with behavior and interest, which is perfect because we wanted to understand the audience better. We got the first time with, yes, sending them SMSs, and they didn't even bother, although the offer was really appealing. $2.5 for increasing in gigabytes and a free subscription for a platform, right? But then they didn't show any interest at the beginning. Why they will show an interest with a different offer? So what we have to do at second is to understand their interest, their behavior. What do they do, right? And for me, the most important part was we wanted to see if they have any kind of a different VOD application or website that they've been using before. For example, applications on devices. You have data partners in the market that they can do, and they can find applications on devices. So if you know that this person had an application on his mobile device as a VOD, like similar to Netflix, Wavo, whatever, then they are into this kind of an entertainment as an application, right? So once we got this data enriched, what we should do? So we got this phone number as a first-party data. We knew who are these people. We enriched them. Now, a third step.
To be relevant to them and target them with something that will attract them.
Super. So we work on their audience insights and behavior that we've got, and we create, first of all, we connected them to device IDs, and then yes, we actually created dynamic creatives so we do the optimization to get the best installs and registrations there. So when we got these phone numbers, we connected them to device IDs. These device IDs gave us profiles and interest. From there, we understood that this person has, for example, Netflix. And then on Netflix, the top booming kind of categories in the MENA region or in KSA or in UAE or in GCC were, for example, I don't know, what do we have recently? Let's say Vikings, yeah? So we created something similar to Vikings from that content, and we launched it to these people. So we started creating cohorts from the first-party data we collected with enriched audience insights. So instead of going for a cohort of a third party or like from different people that we don't understand anything about except they liked or like they actually bought a bike, we went into more deterministic audiences when we started working on our first party data and we enriched it with a third party data supply, right? Once we created this, what's the next step that should happen? Sorry? We want to launch a campaign. Exactly. So as Sara mentioned before, when we have all the aspects and the tools to go to online, we have phone numbers, we have email addresses, phone numbers, we have device IDs that we can take to different platforms in the digital world. We can take them to any kind of a DSP, a demand-side platform similar to TTD, SMADEX, any kind of these DSPs, because they can accept device ID. And then we can take the phone number to Facebook and to DV360, and we can launch a campaign there. And from there, we use different cohorts. We have different audiences as a custom audience. We can put the ads to these custom audiences, and we can start launching a campaign. From there, when we did this, we had an increase of 50% on installations and 42% on the registration rate, because we were only going for the audiences that they are the first-party data at first from the telecommunication. Second, we were speaking their language. Third, they were the people that they have the same interest of the people they were looking for, we were looking for. They have the same VOD application, they have a credit card, so they can actually subscribe, and we gave them the content that they were looking for. That's the beauty of not working with a cohort only, not working with an interest from one view. We're working from a different point of view. And that's what makes data work today. And that's why data is the new currency. And that's what Google didn't like. The second objective was to engage with the dormant and the ones that they are using the application for less than 3 hours. And that's the biggest challenge to any kind of a VOD application or a website. Because it's very easy for you to get, today you have a CPA and a CPO and a CPI in the market, right? If we go for example as a Netflix, we all know that Netflix were in the market looking for a kind of a CPI or a CPA, cost per acquisition, of a $10 to $15 per subscriber. Netflix won't make money unless that subscriber stays for a long time on Netflix consuming content and keeping his re-registering every single month. They make their money on the long run, and that's why engagement is one of the top criteria that they always follow. Keep engaging our customers and stay on top of their mind. We don't really care more now for the installation, because the market is full now. That's their threshold. It's done, right? So here, what we did is a lot, actually. That's where we came in and started using the client's data warehouse. And I'll explain further. So here, as a first step, what we should do. We are engaging with people or audiences that they downloaded the application or entered to the website, registered, but they never used the application, and people that they registered or downloaded the application and used the application but for less than 3 hours a month.
Aggregate what they're watching.
Aggregate what they are watching.
What type of media they're consuming.
Perfect. So that fits one of the segments. Right? So first of all, what I would do is, which is perfect, that comes on the second stage, is segmenting the audiences. Because we have two different segments that we have to treat them differently, right? The ones that they actually downloaded the app, but they didn't show interest, they didn't even watch the content, but they subscribed because maybe they were happy with the subscription as for free, they went into it, they were so interested, and then they left, they forgot about it, it went dormant. And others, they went into it, they watched some kind of movies, and then they left. They don't even see the content really frequently. So that's why we have to separate it into two. Once we separated them into two, what should happen next? Any idea? Yes, but we have to first of all collect what we have from them. In the first exercise, what did we have in terms of first-party data? A phone number only. Here, because the people or the audiences actually installed the application or they did a registration, we were able to collect more data. We have the device ID, we have the email address, and we have the phone number. The device ID comes from the application, the phone number comes from the registration, and the email address comes from the registration as well. So we had three main pillars here in terms of data, and this tells us a story. If we are a publisher, and I'm seeing this more now in Europe, in London, in even US, if you are on a website and you're reading the content, if they will pop up something called register. Even Gulf News, I think they started doing it now, right? I don't know if you've noticed this. You go inside their website, you want to read this very specific content, they tell you register. If you click no, they kick you out immediately, right? It's their right, because it's fair. I was in Web Summit in 2018 before the pandemic. Thankfully, we were there. And there was the Sun owner, the Sun newspaper owner, standing there having a battle with Facebook when the Facebook announced that they're going to push all the publications inside the Facebook channel itself. And he told the audience, who doesn't like to receive ads? How many of you don't like to receive ads? Okay, so I have only 30%. unless you were so being lollies not to raise your hand. So it's a different aspect, how to look at things. But when most of the people in the crowd raised their hands, the guy went ballistic. He's an old guy of like maybe 65 years old, right? It's like, or more actually, 75. He's like, listen guys, if you go to your library in the neighborhood, it's a very small library. You enter, hey, how are you? And then you go to the bookshelf, you take your book and you leave home. How this guy will get paid? How he will renew his library if you don't pay for the book? I'm not asking you for a subscription. I'm asking you just only to allow me to target you with an ad for me to make money. That's exactly the same. If you don't want to receive an ad, subscribe, put your email address, get a subscription, and then move on. So that's for the sake of the advertisers because they have to pay, right? So here we had more data about the people, and the more data you can collect on your audience is the better because you can connect, you have a connected ID easily. Yeah? So after this one, what we did. So we got the phone number, the email address, and the device ID.
For example, if I just see from my own experience, I have Netflix.
Okay.
So if I don't go on Netflix for a while, then they will basically send me an email saying, hey, listen, you haven't watched, you're going to watch Breaking Bad again, for example. So
Okay.
a lot of behavioral and historical data that they had.
On you.
Yeah, on me.
Perfect.
Throwing that back.
Super. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Enriching the first-party data with the content and the consumption of the users on the application itself. But since we have two of them, let me go there because, oh, sorry. This one was deleted, no? Oh, it's here.
Yeah, here.
So, yes, what Tahir said is right. The people that they actually consumed content for less than 3 hours a month, they actually consumed content. So on the backside of the data warehouse, and that's very important of building a data warehouse, or like similar to a CDP that connects the dots, right? That data warehouse had information about each and every person, what did they consume in terms of content. So we extracted all of this information, we put it there, we created cohorts, and then we went online. For the ones that they didn't consume content and they just downloaded the application or registered and they left, we don't have any information about them on the website itself or on the application itself. So what we did is we gave it to the third-party partner that we were working with. They enriched it from their side, similar to the first version of what we did for the installation, new installation and acquisitions. And then we went and created a connected ID, and then we created a DCO. From there, we got 55% engagement. The client and the advertiser was seeing an engagement with 55% increase from dormant and from consumers that they were not consuming more than 3 hours a month. Because we, as Tahir said, you've been watching Breaking Bad, you continue watching it, or we recommend for you. And that's, everyone mostly have Netflix, you go inside, recommend it for you, right? It's because of the content that we consume. It's the big data warehouse working that in the backside. So imagine if they will only come and say, we're not going to track you anymore, what we can do. That's the biggest problem, that's the biggest challenge. Such kind of solutions, they are available in the market, and they are there. We just need to discover them. And they are very smart today. This kind of a product with named Catalyst, there is a third-party vendor in terms of data enrichment, based on mobile and based on a cookie. This cookie, if you are a web-based client, they give the tag, they put it on the website. That tag masks up, and it will tell Google, I'm the first-party data of the client. It will read the cookie. It will go to their universe. They have 6.8 billion devices globally, and cookies as well. These signals will connect to a device ID, and it will revert back to you with a device ID. So what happens is, if you have a cookie from Google, for example, that you only understand it from Google perspective, this product will take it, will push it outside, it will stitch it to a device ID, and on a phone, you can tell a lot of stuff. And you know, your phone is your best friend and spy at the same time. Wherever you're moving, it's moving with you. There's a lot of signals being emitted from there, regardless if it's GDPR compliant or not. And from there, you can tell a lot of different information. So from a publication of a reading behavior, a newsletter, a purchase behavior on a website, or a time spent, you can connect the ID to give you a mobility and a lifestyle. Because if you today connect the online with the offline, then you are a winner. Imagine if you want to go and target tomorrow with the cohorts of a flock that they are interested in football. Yeah? So they read the content about football, Google push it on a cohort of football fans, and then you want to remarket to them for Nike, and Nike comes in saying, hey, I want people that they are interested in football. That's what's going to happen. They come to this cohort and they push it to him, but maybe that guy, he's only a fan, he's a potato couch, and he eats burgers all the time. He doesn't even move. It might happen. Most of us might be fans for football, but I never played football, right? And they have a football shoes. But here when you talk about enhanced identity, connected identity, this kind of technology can tell you that that person was in the gym for 4 times a week. So he's someone that he was actually active. He goes to the gym, right? If you want to remarket for someone that he's a cyclist, so you can check Al-Qudra, for example, where people are cycling there. They connect his identity to that kind of a location. So you have now an online and an offline behavior. So both of them gives you a connected ID. So this kind of solution, when they give you a first-party cookie that you can still utilize on Google, a third-party UDID that you can utilize on different channels, then you can get into the battle of the flock and the sandbox, and you will not be in the monopoly of Google. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. But before you actually think about something, I was never against Google, and I'm always a fan of them, literally. But this kind of an impact that happened in the advertising world, it gave us a sense of monopoly. I believe it's a monopoly. I'm going to leave it for you. But if you are after the privacy of people, you are still offering it to everyone else, but you only, not anyone else. So that's not privacy. If you are actually coming and telling me this is for the benefits of me, well, I don't see the benefit because I can still see ads targeted for me, but it's only on Google, right? That's the sense of it. So that's why we came out of all of this kind of a challenge from Google coming to us, and now we can actually get into the battle of it. That's it. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And we are more than happy to get on calls to explain further about the flock, the sandbox, the turtle dove, and how actually we can lead you to different products that can help you in the market to have a connected ID for the moving forward in 2022, because they are moving with this regardless they find the solution or not, and although they promised for it, but it's not ready yet. It's until testing from a Google perspective. Thank you so much for attending this, and I hope that it was informative for you. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about the distribution and the fact that cookies is going to be the removal of cookies will
Limit.
limit the whole tracking.
Yeah, process.
So a lot of us use, I don't know about the others, especially we use Google Analytics.
Yep.
Some of our brands use GA360, for example, to see the whole data-driven attribution,
Yep.
whether it's last click, whether it's position.
Data-driven, yeah.
So are you saying that once the cookies are removed, you will not be able to see the whole journey from the first click, which is first
View.
asset, until the conversion? Is that what you're saying?
As of now, yes. And that's why Google is now trying to figure out a way to give you a label again, but that label might come from a Facebook label to show you that user saw it on Facebook as a data-driven attribution, and then it ended up into a last click. But as of today, it's not ready yet. So that's why they are trying to speed up the process, but still, we've never heard about anything there yet. We're still told that multi-touch attribution is not going to be there. Which is, it's kind of a,
This was one of the biggest selling points for GA360 when people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with it, right?
yes.
For example, if you as a person cannot see the full journey from programmatic first, or let's DV360's first ad until that person going into social media and then finally coming to your website to purchase that product or services, if you're not able to see it, then why would anyone purchase?
Now, if you look at every single advertiser that they are now in the market, they went and they wanted to put the full stack of Google on their websites, right? If I will tell you today you can only advertise on Google, why you will need the multi-touch attribution if your sales will only come from Google? right? But it's the thing, that's the thing. So if I'm today will tell you, I will like, okay, if you want to remarket, you're gonna use me to remarket. I will not tell you that Sara took your data and remarketed it outside and it came from Sara. It's me only who's bringing you the sales. So there's no multi-touch attribution anymore, right? That's the monopolization, I call. Perfect. Thank you so much.